Spiritual Principles, Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. The 28th Spiritual Principle. Every Partzuf is created from Malchut the Malchut of the higher level. It is necessary that you know a clarification that is in the Sefer Yetzirah. This is what it says, 10, not 9. Through this, he is telling us something very important, which was already explained, that all the illumination in the Sefirot of the upper light, and even in the Igulim, they are in one uniformity. They do not shine to the fourth stage, which is called Malchut. And the same Sefirah teaches us about the light in the Kli together. That is, the upper light dresses in the Kli, but the Kli without the light is not called by the name Sefirah, which means a sparkle and luminescence. And in connection with this, a thought could come to mind, that Malchut is not a Sefirah, God forbid, since the upper light does not shine there, as was explained. And therefore the author of the book Sefer Yetzirah specifies and says there are 10 Sefirot, not 9, God forbid, for Malchut is also considered a Sefirah. And meaning of this is, since all the entangling and attraction of the highlight to the 10 Sefirot is done through the light of Or Hoser, which Malchut raises by the power of its Masach, from the Masach to above. Therefore, on the contrary, it is the Sefirah which is the most important of the 10 Sefirot, for without it, light would not be present within the 9 upper Sefirot, as explained there. And she is considered, because of this, as if she were the whole world. From the Sefirah Malchut, the aspect of absolute power in coercion and compulsion is emanated, like the fear of the kingdom, and therefore it is called Malchut. And it is known that Malchut raises 10 Sefirot of Or Hoser, the returning light, from her upwards, which dress the 10 Sefirot of the upper light, which are called the 10 Sefirot of the direct light, or Yashar. And this Or Hoser is called the light of Malchut, as she does not have any other light. And this Or Hoser is called in all places the 10 Sefirot, rising from below upwards, as can be read in Histaklut Pnimi, Part 2, Perek 6, from line 66. And it explains that Malchut is called the Keter of these 10 Sefirot, as she is the reason for their emanation and existence. And the next adjacent Sefirot is called Chokmah, and the third step from it is called Binah, and so on. And here we find that everyone who is more subtle, thinner, is smaller in such a way that the real Keter receives only the aspect of Malchut from the standpoint of Or Hoser. It is very, very important that we know how it works. The upper one always has more strength than the lower one. Therefore, no matter how you resist, the light of Ein Sof will always penetrate you. Therefore, we should know that the whole history of mankind is moving in a particular order of advancement, development, although it may seem to us that the world is as dirty and disgusting as ever, and that it does not change. However, in fact, man's development is constantly progressing towards its perfection, and this is due to the phenomena that we are now studying. Therefore, nothing shall be able to stand still. Nothing, no religion, no group, they will not stand or be able to conceal itself before the light of the Creator, before the light of Ein Sof. The light of the Creator will pierce any shackles, walls, and concealments of any group, and will individually lead a person to the Creator, and not to this or to that dogma or interpretation of holiness by the earthly, egotistical mind. Any coming light, with all its coarsenings, makes a zivug on the masach of the spiritual object, which in turn raises the Or Hoser upwards to the level depending on the object's strength. It can be valid for one stage. For example, the object raises from the masach from Or Hoser by one stage, for example, to receive only the light of Ruach. It can also have a greater power to receive the light of Neshama, or even greater, the light of Chokmah. It all depends on the strength of his Masach. Take into account that the light of Gadlut always passes into the spiritual object. The full light always passes to the Kli. And from it, the Kli can only receive. For example, the light of Ruach, or even a part of Ruach, for example, Nefesh de Ruach, i.e., get just a little Ruach. So as you can see, it always turns out like this. It can never be so that a little bit of light passes and the rest does not. Light is singular and indivisible. The light completely passes into the Kli, which has a Masach. The Kli is capable of holding some portion of the light, depending on its strength. For example, he has Masach only on Kli Nefesh de Ruach, a very weak Kli. What is the result? Firstly, the full light hits the Masach and completely passes into the Kli, but instantly. That is, a full Gadlut comes, the whole Naranjai, all 5 lights, comes to this weak Kli, most of which disappears immediately. Where? It returns back to the source. It has no place to stay in this Kli. Of course, the fact is that it does not go anywhere and does not come anywhere. Light is always there, present inside of the person, which always remains in its place. It is our ability to perceive the light that dictates our feeling or sense of it. But the next stage, which precedes the perception of this person, this Kli comes fully, and therefore there is a desire to feel more. Where does this desire come from? Because each time a full, indivisible light in itself comes, it immediately leaves, and the only thing that remains is the sense of it, which is directly proportionate to the power of the Kli. But certainly the light leaves its trace behind in the Kli. After all, nothing disappears in the spiritual, and this imprint in the Kli strengthens the desire to receive light that this imprint has made. And this is the essence of development and progress in the spiritual work. I will give you a simple example. There's a long hose, a fire hose, which firefighters use to extinguish fires. And now, imagine that they pour water into a bucket of 10 liters with this hose. What happens to the bucket? 100 liters of water instantly flies out of this hose. Meanwhile, the bucket only holds 10 liters. And if the hose is working at full capacity, then how much water does it give? Maybe a ton. But the Kli itself, in our case the bucket, does not feel the rest of the water. It feels only its 10 liters, which fit in it. So you can pour as much as you want into the bucket, it no longer feels it. You will not add anything to it. Here about the same happens with us with the light. They want to give us absolutely everything, to complete perfection. At each moment there is a full presence of the light, and it depends only on you how much and how to receive it. From your personal choices, from your willpower, from the degree of your desire to come to perfection, even in this Gilgulah, even during your life. And therefore it is very important for you to understand that this light is being conducted from one degree to another through the plugged Malchut. Malchut conducts these 10 Sfirot through its Masach, through itself. There are no other Kilim. There is nothing alive like this Malchut. That is, that which has a connection with the spiritual below, that Malchut that you feel, that there is nothing below it. It is important to understand that it means that the 10 Sfirot of Or Choser are conducted from and through the Masach to below. It is carried through the same Malchut on which a Zivug has been made. That there is nothing except the light which is conducted inside the Malchut, meaning that which was not perceived until a person allowed this light to penetrate into the Kli of the Malchut coming through the Masach, which then conducts the light through itself. And below her there is no life. This is why on Rosh Hashanah, on the New Year of the universe, and on Yom Kippur, they ask the Creator to be written into the Book of Life. The Book of Life, bear in mind, simply means give the opportunity for Malchut to raise Or Choser, to receive the upper light and let it pass inside through the Masach, because this is the recording or writing in the Book of Life. For then, here it states that where the light has passed, there is then a connection with the Supreme through the Kelim de Chashpa'ah. the kelim of bestowal. It is necessary to feel that there's nothing at the bottom of what you cannot summon by yourself, with your own effort and with the help from above. And only through Malchut, through the Masach, and again inside this Malchut, because Malchut is the lowest. Therefore, it passes even lower meaning that, as we said, the lower the kelim, the greater the correction. The light always comes first to Keter, and there are also partsofim that belong to Keter, and so on. Everything should go lower and lower, as low as possible and deeper, for likewise in a person all these worlds must be built, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya.